Steroids in baseball are back to making all the headlines in the sport. But I'll tell you what I think is even a worse offense against the sport in terms of crimes against the game. So with steroids in baseball back in the news once again and looking like it's not going to go away anytime soon as they try to sort out the whole biogenesis clinic situation with Alex Rodriguez and Ryan Braun and the possible 50 to 100 game suspensions of up to 20 players in Major League Baseball, I feel that I have to comment on it only because I have a baseball show, and my comment is pretty much the same thing as it's been throughout my time doing this show, and that is what has taken baseball so long to finally do something here? Where was the commissioner's office and the players union 10 years ago when this first started to become a big problem? And that's my thought on steroids in baseball. Let it play out and see what happens, because quite frankly, I think as baseball fans, we're all tired of hearing about this. But you know, the steroid thing also got me thinking about what's actually a worse crime against baseball. Is it steroids in baseball, or would it be gambling in baseball? And of course, that goes back to the Pete Rose controversy from several years ago, in which he was banned from baseball for betting on baseball. And a lot of people say that steroids are worse in the sport, that it's the biggest crime you could have against baseball because it's cheating. Well, I think gambling is the worst crime that you could do against the sport, because a lot of the integrity of the sport is taken into question when you start getting into gambling accusations in the game. You start looking at players, managers, umpires, anybody that's involved in the game, on the field, on a daily basis. If that person is suspected of gambling, now you're calling into question the game on the field itself. And that, to me, is a bigger problem than steroids will ever be in baseball. Because with steroids, you never really know who's doing it and who's not doing it. And you could have a situation where you have a pitcher on steroids and a lineup full of guys on steroids, and quite frankly, that could be an even playing field. But when you get into gambling and you start cutting corners on the field with certain game situations and calls and at-bats and certain kinds of pitches, now you're affecting the game on a daily basis, no question, day in and day out. And so to me, I think gambling, if you're weighing crimes against the sport, gambling is a much more of a black mark on the game than steroids will ever be. So for you guys out there, as you consider the two vices against the game, gambling and steroids, tell me which you think is worse and why. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and tell all your friends about This Week in Red. And don't forget to check out my blog at BoSoxInjection.com.